The council chamber stretched out like a cathedral of glass and metal, floating in the void between stars. Captain Jiwan Park stood before the assembled representatives of 47 alien species, her hands clasped behind her back in a posture of forced calm. The blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps felt heavier than usual today. The Draconite ambassador rose from his seat, his scales catching the artificial light in shades of crimson and gold. He was twice Jiwan's height, with eyes that burned like molten copper. When he spoke, his voice rumbled through the chamber like distant thunder. "The humans request expansion rights to the Outer Rim territories," he said, his tone dripping with amusement. "How charming. Tell me, Captain Park, what makes your species believe it deserves such privileges? You have been part of this council for 30 years. 3 decades. Do you know how long that is to us? It is less than a single season. You are children playing at civilization." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Not all species joined in, but enough did to make Jiwan's jaw tighten. She kept her expression neutral, though her heart pounded in her chest. Dr. Hyun Kim stood beside her, his weathered face showing no emotion. He had been studying alien cultures for 20 years, and he understood the game being played here. This was not about territory. This was about dominance, about keeping humanity in its place. "Ambassador," Jiwan said carefully, "we have followed every protocol. We have met every requirement. Our colony ships are ready. The territories we request are unclaimed and uninhabited." The Vex representative, a being of living crystal that refracted light into rainbow patterns, chimed in with a voice like breaking glass. "Unclaimed, perhaps, but we have decided those systems hold strategic value. We will be taking them for our own expansion." "You cannot do that," Jiwan protested. "We surveyed those systems. We filed the proper claims months ago, and we are overruling those claims," the Draconite said flatly. "The council votes now. All in favor of granting the Outer Rim territories to the Vex Collective?" 40 hands, claws, tentacles, and appendages rose into the air. Only 3 abstained. None voted for humanity. Jiwan felt the anger rising in her chest, but Hyun placed a gentle hand on her arm. "Not yet," his touch said. "Not here." The session continued for another hour, with humanity's other requests systematically denied or delayed. When they asked for trade route access, they were told the fees had just increased tenfold. When they requested membership in the Defense Pact, they were told humanity's military was too primitive to be of value. Finally, the session ended. As the representatives filed out, Jiwan and Hyun made their way back to their ship, the Resilience, docked at the station's outer rim. Inside the vessel, the mood was dark. Daeho Lee, a young engineer with quick hands and a quicker mind, looked up from his console as they entered. "Let me guess," he said. "They said no to everything." "Worse," Hyun replied, settling into a chair. "They are taking the territories we claimed. They are pushing us out entirely." Jiwan moved to the communications panel and opened a secure channel to Earth. The face that appeared on the screen was stern and lined with age. Admiral Minho Choi had served in Earth's defense fleet for 40 years. He had seen humanity's first contact with alien life. He had watched as Earth joined the Galactic Council with hope and optimism. And he had watched that hope slowly crushed under the weight of cosmic politics. "Admiral," Jiwan said, "we need to talk." "I watched the session," Minho replied. "The whole thing was broadcast on secure channels. Command has been watching. Then you know where we stand. They will never accept us as equals. We are a joke to them." Minho was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was measured. "Captain, do you know why I joined the defense fleet 60 years ago before we even knew aliens existed?" "No, sir. Because I studied history, human history, and I learned that the strong only respect strength. For 30 years we have been patient. We have been diplomatic. We have followed every rule, signed every treaty, and accepted every insult with grace. And what has it earned us?" "Nothing," Jiwan said quietly. "Nothing," Minho agreed. "The Council sees patience as weakness. They see our restraint as fear. They think because we have not shown our teeth, we have no teeth at all." Daeho looked up from his console. "Sir, are you saying what I think you are saying?" "I am saying," Minho replied carefully, "that Earth has been preparing for this moment since the day we joined the Council. We hoped it would never come, but hope is not a strategy." Hyun leaned forward. "The projects? All of them?" "All of them," Minho confirmed. "The Ghost Division, The Fortress Network, the Quantum Initiative, everything we have built in secret while the galaxy looked away. It is time to show them what humanity really is. A chime sounded from the communications panel. Jiwan opened the channel and saw the panicked face of a colony administrator. Captain Park, we need immediate assistance. The colony ship Horizon has been destroyed. We are picking up survivors, but the casualties are in the hundreds. A Hive Collective warship claims it was an accident. They say our ship drifted into a restricted zone. Jiwan felt her blood run cold. That is impossible. The Horizon was following established routes. We know, Captain, but the Hive is refusing to acknowledge fault. They are calling it an unfortunate incident. Minho's face hardened on the screen. Captain Park, return to Earth immediately. Recall all diplomatic personnel from Council space. This changes everything. Admiral, if we do that, they will see it as an act of aggression. Good, Minho said. Let them. For 30 years, we have been the species that bends, that compromises, that accepts whatever scraps they throw us. That ends today. Jiwan looked at Hyun and Daeho. Both men nodded. They were ready. Perhaps they had always been ready. Understood, Admiral. We are coming home. As the Resilience detached from the station and began its journey back to Earth, Jiwan stood at the observation window, watching the Council station grow smaller in the distance. Behind her, Hyun worked on preparing a report. It would detail every violation of treaty law, every act of aggression against younger species, every crime the Council powers had committed while hiding behind the veneer of civilization. They are going to panic, Hyun said softly, when they realize what we have been doing all this time. Let them panic, Jiwan replied. They had 30 years to treat us with respect. They chose mockery instead. Now they will learn what it means to awaken a sleeping giant. The ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving the Council station behind. In the chamber they had just left, the alien representatives were beginning to realize that something had changed. The humans had not argued. They had not pleaded. They had simply left. And somehow that silence was more terrifying than any threat could have been. The recall order spread through Council space like wildfire. Within 48 hours, every human diplomat, trader, and civilian began evacuating alien territories. Ships that had been conducting peaceful trade suddenly changed course and headed home. Embassy buildings went dark. Communication channels closed. The galaxy watched with growing unease. Ambassador Seok Nam was the last to leave. He was 83 years old, with silver hair and eyes that had seen the birth of human space travel. He had been Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council, arriving with hope and dreams of cooperation. Now as he boarded his ship, he felt something different. Not anger exactly, more like disappointment that had hardened into resolve. A Draconite official approached him at the docking bay. Ambassador Nam, surely this is an overreaction. The incident with the Horizon was regrettable, but these things happen in space. Seok looked at the alien for a long moment. These things happen? You destroyed a ship carrying 400 souls. Children, scientists, families seeking a new home. And you call it regrettable? It was an accident. No, Seok said quietly. It was the final insult. You have tested our patience for 30 years. You have mocked us, cheated us, blocked our every attempt at peaceful expansion. And now you have killed our people and expect us to accept your apology. That time is over. Is this a threat? Seok smiled, but there was no warmth in it. No. A threat implies uncertainty about whether action will be taken. Consider this a promise instead. He boarded his ship without another word. Back on Earth, things were moving fast. Commander Sora Han stood in a briefing room deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. Around her sat the leaders of humanity's Ghost Division, a military unit that had officially never existed. For 25 years, they had trained in secret, developing tactics and technologies that the Council knew nothing about. Our orders are simple, Sora said, bringing up a holographic display. There are 17 pirate strongholds in the Outer Rim. These criminals have been raiding shipping lanes for decades. The Council does nothing because many Council members profit from the chaos. We are going to eliminate every single one of them in the next 72 hours. One of her officers raised a hand. Commander, that is impossible. The logistics alone would take weeks. It would take weeks for a normal military operation, Sora agreed. But we are not normal. We have been preparing for this our entire careers. Every ship knows its target. Every team knows its role. We hit them all at once, and we do it so fast the galaxy will not know what happened until it is already over. The Ghost Division launched that night. Their ships were painted black and ran without standard identification signals. They moved through space like shadows, appearing at each pirate base without warning. The attacks were surgical and brutal. Within hours, criminal empires that had existed for centuries simply ceased to exist. The galaxy watched in shock. News feeds exploded with footage of human soldiers moving through pirate compounds with terrifying efficiency. They used tactics no one had seen before, combining technology with a level of coordination that seemed almost telepathic. On Mars, Dr. Hyun Kim released his report to every major news network in the galaxy. It was 3,000 pages long, documenting 3 decades of treaty violations, war crimes, and injustices committed by the Council powers. The evidence was irrefutable. Hyun had been collecting it since the day humanity joined the Council, knowing that someday it might be needed. Smaller alien species began to pay attention. The Queldi, a race of amphibious beings who had been exploited for their planet's resources, read the report with growing anger. The Torvan, insectoid creatures whose homeworld had been seized by the Hive Collective, saw their suffering documented in painful detail. Dozens of minor species realized they were not alone in their grievances. Support for humanity began to grow. The Draconite Empire responded by sending a battle fleet to Earth. 50 warships, each the size of a small city, jumped into the solar system with weapons hot. Their commander broadcast a simple message: "Humans, you have violated Council peace. You have attacked sovereign territories. You will surrender your military, dismantle your fleets, and submit to Council authority. You have 1 hour to comply." Admiral Minho Choi sat in the command center of the orbital station above Earth, watching the Draconite fleet on his displays. Beside him, Junho Yoon, his chief tactical officer, waited for orders. "Sir?" Junho asked. "The fleet is in position. We are ready. How many ships do we have?" Minho asked. 20 against their 50, sir. And you are confident?" Junho smiled. "Sir, we are not just confident. We are excited. They have no idea what they are walking into." Minho opened a channel to the Draconite commander. "This is Admiral Minho Choi of Earth Defense Fleet. You have entered our solar system without permission. You have threatened our homeworld. You have one chance to leave peacefully." Laughter came back over the channel. "You are outnumbered more than 2 to 1, human." "You have no chance. We outnumber you where it matters," Minho replied calmly. "Leave now, or learn why." The Draconite commander cut the channel and gave the order to attack. What happened next would be studied in military academies for centuries. The human fleet did not engage in traditional combat. Instead, they used adaptive artificial intelligence systems that predicted enemy movements before they happened. They deployed swarms of drones that operated independently but coordinated perfectly. They used psychological warfare, broadcasting images and sounds that caused confusion and panic among the Draconite crews. Junho directed the battle from his station on the flagship Indomitable. His fingers flew across controls as he coordinated attacks across multiple vectors. The human ships moved in patterns that seemed chaotic but were actually precisely calculated. "Target their command ships first," Junho ordered. "Make them fight blind." Missiles streaked through space. Point defense systems activated. Energy weapons lit up the void. But the humans were always one step ahead. They had studied Draconite tactics for years. They knew every formation, every standard response, every weakness. 20 minutes into the battle, the Draconite commander realized he was losing. His flagship had taken critical damage. 6 of his ships had been destroyed. The rest were scattered and confused. The humans had not lost a single vessel. "Retreat," he ordered. "All ships retreat now." The Draconite fleet jumped away in disorder, leaving debris and damaged pride behind. On Earth, people watched the battle on screens and cheered. In Council space, representatives watched in stunned silence. The humans had just defeated one of the galaxy's major military powers. Ambassador Siak appeared on every broadcast channel in the galaxy. His voice was calm and measured. "For 30 years, we studied you. We learned your languages, your cultures, your technologies. We watched how you fought, how you thought, how you ruled, and we learned from all of it. You believed we were weak because we chose peace. You believed we were primitive because we asked for guidance. But we were never weak. We were preparing. You taught us everything we needed to know to surpass you. And for that, we thank you. In the council chamber, panic spread. Emergency sessions were called. The Vex, the Hive Collective, and the Draconites began discussing an alliance, something they had never needed before. Humanity had changed the balance of power in the galaxy, and they had done it in less than a week. Commander Sora returned to Earth with her Ghost Division, having eliminated every pirate haven they targeted. Dr. Hyun's report had sparked uprisings on a dozen worlds. Admiral Minho's fleet stood ready for whatever came next. In her quarters aboard the Resilience, Captain Jiwon looked at a message from her brother, Chang Min. He was a civilian, a teacher, and he had written to ask if this was really necessary. She wrote back simply, "They gave us no choice, but we will not become what they are. We will show them a better way, even if we have to fight for the right to do so." The emergency council meeting took place on a neutral station, far from any major power's territory. Representatives from all three dominant species gathered in a sealed chamber. For the first time in galactic history, the Draconites, the Vex, and the Hive Collective agreed on something. Humanity needed to be stopped. The Hive Queen's voice echoed through her representative, a drone connected to the collective consciousness. "The humans are a threat to galactic stability. They must be brought to heel before their aggression spreads." The Vex ambassador, its crystalline form pulsing with agitated colors, added, "They have violated the principles of the Council. Military action without authorization, attacks on sovereign territories. They must answer for these crimes." The Draconite representative, still nursing the wounds of his fleet's humiliating defeat, growled his agreement. "We propose a coalition. Our combined forces will be unstoppable. We will blockade Earth, force their surrender, and dismantle their military capabilities." Smaller species watched nervously. Some, like the Queldi and Torvin, quietly opposed the coalition but dared not speak against the major powers. Others, terrified of human aggression, supported the motion. The vote passed. A coalition fleet would be assembled. The largest military force in recorded galactic history would march on Earth. In the command center beneath Geneva, Captain Jiwon stood before a holographic display showing the coalition's movements. Ships were gathering from across the galaxy. Thousands of vessels carrying millions of soldiers, all converging on human space. "We cannot win this with conventional tactics," she said to the assembled officers. "Even with all our advances, we are outnumbered 50 to 1. General Hanna Bayek, commander of the Terran Marine Corps, stepped forward. She was compact and muscular, with scars crossing her face from training exercises that had pushed the boundaries of human endurance. "Then we do not fight conventionally. We do what humans have always done best. We adapt, we improvise, and we hit them where they are not expecting it." "What do you have in mind?" Admiral Minho asked. "The Hive Collective holds 17 slave worlds," Hanna said, bringing up a star map. "Species they conquered and now exploit for labor. The slaves outnumber their guards 100 to 1, but they have no weapons, no hope. We give them both. We liberate one of these worlds, broadcast the entire operation across the galaxy. We show every oppressed species that freedom is possible, that the old powers can be challenged." Dr. Yuna Shin, the quantum weapons specialist, nodded enthusiastically. She was young, barely 30, but her mind worked at speeds that left even advanced alien computers struggling to keep up. "While General Bayek is doing that, I can activate the quantum disruption network. We have had satellites positioned in key systems for years. No one noticed because they look like standard communication relays, but they are much more. They can disable faster-than-light drives in entire star systems. We can trap enemy fleets, control movement across the galaxy." Daeho Lee, now promoted to chief engineer, cleared his throat. "And I have completed the fortress network. Earth's moon is now surrounded by defensive platforms that can generate an energy shield strong enough to stop anything short of a supernova. The orbital stations have been armed with weapons that make what we used against the Draconites look like toys. If they come to Earth, they will face defenses unlike anything in the galaxy." Jiwon looked at each of them. "You understand what we are proposing? This is not a defensive war. This is us telling the galaxy that we will not be pushed around anymore. We are drawing a line." "They crossed our line first," Hanna said simply, "when they killed the people on the horizon, when they denied us basic rights for 30 years, when they built a civilization on the backs of enslaved species. We are not the aggressors here. We are just the first ones willing to fight back." Minho looked at Jiwon. "Captain, this is your mission to lead. You have tactical command. What are your orders?" Ji-Wan straightened. General Beck, take your Marines and liberate the slave world of Kelvor Prime. Dr. Yuna, activate the disruption network in Coalition staging areas. Slow their advance, buy us time. Deho, make sure our defenses are ready. The enemy will come. We need to be prepared to show them something they have never seen before. And you, Captain? Minho asked. I am taking the Resilience and a small strike force. We are going to hit the Vex manufacturing world of Crystalis. Their entire war production is centralized there. If we can take it out, we cut their ability to resupply by 70%. Within hours, the operations began. General Hana's Marines deployed to Kelvor Prime in stealth transports. The planet was covered in factories where enslaved aliens worked 20-hour days producing goods for the Hive Collective. Guards patrolled with weapons and cruel efficiency. The slaves had long ago given up hope of freedom. Hana's forces landed at night, moving through the shadows like ghosts. They struck at guard posts simultaneously, eliminating sentries before they could raise alarms. Within 2 hours, they had secured the main control center. Hana activated the planet-wide communication system and spoke in the Kelvori language, which she had learned specifically for this mission. People of Kelvor Prime, my name is General Hana Bayek of Earth. We are here to free you. Rise up. Fight for your world. We stand with you. At first, nothing happened. The slaves, broken by years of oppression, did not believe her. Then, in one factory, a single Kelvori worker picked up a piece of metal piping and struck his guard. Others saw and joined. Within minutes, a planet-wide uprising erupted. The Hive forces tried to respond, but Hana's Marines were everywhere, providing weapons, tactical support, and most importantly, hope. The battle was broadcast live across every communication channel in the galaxy. Billions watched as humans fought alongside enslaved aliens to break their chains. While Hana fought on Kelvor Prime, Ji-Wan led her strike force toward Crystalis. The Vex manufacturing world was heavily defended, but Ji-Wan had a secret weapon. Pilot Taehyun Ko, leader of the Raptor Squadron, was the best pilot in Earth's fleet. He could fly through asteroid fields at speeds that would kill most beings. He had reflexes augmented by neural implants that let him react faster than thought. Raptor Squadron, Taehyun said over the comm as they approached the planet. We go in fast, hit hard, and get out before they know what happened. Follow my lead. The squadron dove toward the planet at impossible speeds. Defense systems activated, but the human pilots were already adapting, weaving through fire with precision that seemed almost supernatural. Taehyun led them directly to the planet's core manufacturing facility, a massive structure of living crystal that produced weapons and ships. Deploying payload, Taehyun said calmly. Specialized missiles struck the facility. They were not explosive. They carried a nanovirus designed specifically to corrupt Vex crystal structures. Within minutes, the entire facility began to collapse, its crystalline matrix breaking down at the molecular level. All units withdraw, Ji-Wan ordered. The squadron escaped just as the facility imploded. The Vex had lost their primary production center. It would take them years to rebuild. Meanwhile, Dr. Yuna activated the Quantum Disruption Network. Coalition forces gathering in staging areas suddenly found their faster-than-light drives offline. Ships that had been preparing to jump to Earth were stranded. Communication became difficult. Coordination fell apart. The Coalition leaders watched in horror as their carefully planned invasion dissolved into chaos. The humans were not fighting a defensive war. They were conducting surgical strikes across the galaxy, hitting targets with devastating precision. Admiral Minho broadcast a message to all Coalition forces. You have one chance to turn back. Come to Earth if you wish. But know this, you are not facing a weak species begging for mercy. You are facing humanity, and we have spent our entire history learning how to win impossible wars. Turn back now or learn why we dominated our own world for millennia. The Coalition did not turn back. Pride, anger, and fear drove them forward. They believed that even with these setbacks, their numerical superiority would prevail. They gathered their scattered forces and began the final advance toward Earth. Thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, all converging on one blue planet. Deho watched from the lunar surface as the enemy fleet began to appear on sensors. They are coming, he reported. Full force. Everything they have. Ji-Wan, returned from the strike on Crystalis, stood beside Admiral Minho in the command center. Are we ready? Minho looked at the display showing the approaching armada. We are about to find out. The Coalition fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel in a formation that had taken weeks to perfect. 3,000 warships representing every major power in the galaxy faced Earth's small blue sphere. This was the moment they had been building toward. The moment when humanity would be crushed and galactic order restored. On the bridge of the Coalition flagship, the Draconite Supreme Commander looked at his tactical display with satisfaction. They have maybe 200 ships defending. We have 3,000. This will be over in hours. What he did not see were the thousands of small objects drifting through space around Earth. They looked like debris or asteroids. They were neither. In a hidden bunker on Mars, Elder Witness Karath sat with recording equipment surrounding him. He was a member of the Witness Guild, a neutral organization dedicated to documenting galactic history. He had been granted permission by both sides to observe the battle. What he was about to see would change his understanding of warfare forever. Admiral Minho gave the first order. Activate Fortress Network. Full power. Around Earth and Luna, the hidden platforms came to life. Energy shields bloomed into existence, forming layers of protection that enclosed both celestial bodies in bubbles of pure force. The moon's surface opened in hundreds of places, revealing weapon batteries that had been concealed beneath artificial craters. Swarm protocol. Junho Yoon ordered from his station. Release all units. The small objects drifting through space suddenly activated. They were autonomous drones, thousands upon thousands of them. Each one was controlled by advanced artificial intelligence that could think, adapt, and learn in real time. They moved like a school of fish, flowing around obstacles with liquid grace. The Coalition fleet opened fire, expecting an easy victory. Their weapons struck the shields around Earth and dissipated harmlessly. The drones swarmed their ships, too small and fast to target effectively, attaching to hulls and disrupting systems. Captain Yunji Kwan watched from her stealth destroyer, the Shadow. Her ship and 50 others like it had been hiding in the asteroid belt, invisible to sensors. She had been waiting for this moment. All stealth units, she commanded, activate and engage. Target their command ships. The stealth fleet appeared behind the Coalition lines like ghosts materializing from nothing. They had been there all along, waiting. Now they struck at the Coalition's most vulnerable points, their command and control vessels. Lieutenant Bora Song sat at her communications station, fingers dancing across controls at superhuman speed. She was not just sending messages. She was conducting the largest cyber warfare operation in history. Human hackers had spent years studying alien computer systems. Now they activated viruses and backdoors that had been planted long ago in Coalition software. I am in their tactical network, Bora reported, feeding them false coordinates. Their ships think friendly vessels are enemies. They are starting to fire on each other. In space, chaos erupted. Coalition ships, their sensors corrupted by human cyber attacks, began shooting at allies. The carefully planned formation fell apart as commanders struggled to regain control. General Hana Bayek led her Marines in the most audacious operation of the battle. Boarding pods launched from Earth's orbital stations, targeting Coalition flagships. The pods moved too fast to intercept. Protected by the same shield, technology that defended Earth, they punched through enemy hulls and deposited Marines directly inside command. Centers. Hannah herself led the assault on the Hive Collective's mothership. Her team moved through the corridors in zero gravity, fighting with a brutality that shocked the insectoid defenders. Humans had evolved as persistence hunters on Earth. They did not give up. They did not tire. They kept coming no matter how many times they were knocked down. Secure the bridge, Hana ordered, throwing a plasma grenade that cleared a corridor. Her armor was dented and scorched, but she moved forward relentlessly. The Hive defenders tried to mount a resistance, but they had never faced an enemy like this. Humans fought with tactics they had refined over thousands of years of warfare on their home planet. Every move was calculated. Every strike was precise. Within an hour, Hana's team had seized control of the mothership. Dr. Yuna activated the next phase of the quantum disruption network. Localized dead zones appeared throughout the battlefield, areas where alien technology simply stopped functioning. The disruptions were carefully calibrated. Human technology, built on different principles, continued to work. Coalition ships drifted helplessly while human vessels maneuvered freely. Pilot Tai-Hyun Ko led Raptor Squadron in attack runs that defied belief. He used a technique called FTL skipping, making tiny, faster-than-light jumps that lasted only fractions of a second. To the enemy, his ship seemed to teleport randomly across the battlefield. He appeared behind targets, destroyed them, and vanished before return fire could hit him. "This is insane," one of his pilots shouted over the comm. "The forces involved should be tearing our ships apart." "Then fly better," Taehyun replied calmly. Destroying another enemy cruiser. Elder Witness Kareth recorded everything, his multiple eyes wide with disbelief. He had studied thousands of battles across galactic history. He had never seen anything like this. The humans were not just winning. They were dominating, and they were doing it while taking measures to minimize casualties. "Look at this," he whispered into his recorder. "They are disabling ships instead of destroying them when possible. They are broadcasting surrender terms. Even in the midst of battle, they are trying to save lives. This is not the behavior of a savage species. This is something else entirely." The Coalition Supreme Commander stared at his tactical display in growing horror. Half his fleet was disabled. A quarter had been destroyed. The rest were in disarray. His own flagship shook as human cyber attacks corrupted its systems. "All ships," he ordered, "withdraw. Retreat from Earth space. This battle is lost, but Jiwon was not done. Open a channel," she told Bora. "All Coalition forces." Her face appeared on every enemy screen. "This is Captain Jiwon Park. You came here to conquer us, to punish us for daring to stand up to oppression. Instead, you have learned a lesson. Humanity does not want war. We never did, but we will not be slaves. We will not be second-class citizens in our own galaxy. You forced this fight. Now you will live with the consequences. Surrender, and you will be treated fairly. Continue fighting, and we will show you what humanity is truly capable of. The choice is yours." Across the Coalition fleet, commanders looked at each other. They had lost. Completely and utterly. The species they had dismissed as primitives had defeated them with ease. The Supreme Commander opened a channel. "We surrender." The battle ended. Coalition ships powered down their weapons. Human forces moved to secure prisoners and provide medical aid to wounded enemies. It would have been easy to destroy the fleet completely, but humanity chose mercy. Elder Witness Karath floated in his observation pod, reviewing his recordings. "I have documented the birth of a new galactic power," he said softly. "And I believe I have witnessed something more important than a military victory. I have seen a demonstration of restraint. The humans could have annihilated this fleet. They chose not to. That choice says everything about who they are. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. They had won. But in the command center, Jiwon felt no joy." She looked at the casualty reports. Thousands dead on both sides, ships destroyed, lives shattered, all because the galaxy's powers could not accept equals. Admiral Minho stood beside her. "We won, Captain. You should be proud." "I am relieved," Jiwon replied, "but not proud. War is never something to be proud of. It is something to be survived." Minho nodded slowly. "Then we must make sure this victory means something. We must build something better, not just for us, but for everyone." In the wreckage of the battle, something new was being born. The old galactic order had fallen. What would replace it was still uncertain. But for the first time in millennia, the galaxy's smaller species had hope. They had seen the mighty powers defeated. They had seen that change was possible, and they had seen it done by a species that valued justice more than dominance. The Coalition sued for peace. Representatives began preparing for negotiations. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what humanity would demand in victory. Whatever came next, nothing would ever be the same. The negotiations took place on a space station humanity had built specifically for this purpose. It orbited a neutral star, far from any homeworld. The station was a statement in itself. Constructed in just 3 weeks using technology the galaxy was only now beginning to understand humans possessed. Captain Jiwon stood in the main conference room, watching as representatives from 47 species filed in. The Draconites came with their heads lowered. The Vex pulsed with subdued colors. The Hive Collective sent a Queen's advisor, a rare honor that acknowledged humanity's new status. But it was Ambassador Seok Nam who drew the most attention. The elderly diplomat had been chosen to lead the negotiations. He walked slowly to the head of the table, his age showing but his eyes still sharp. "We are here," he began simply, "to build a new future." The old council failed. It was built on domination, Exploitation and the belief that might made right. That system died when you attacked Earth. What we create now must be different. The Draconite representative, a younger male than the previous ambassador, spoke carefully. What are your terms? What tribute do you demand? Admiral Minho, attending the session as military advisor, laughed without humor. Tribute? We do not want your wealth. We want justice. Dr. Hyun Kim activated a holographic display showing his comprehensive report. For 3 decades, I documented the crimes of the old council. Species enslaved, worlds exploited, smaller civilizations crushed when they tried to grow. This ends now. Director Kira Lim, newly appointed head of the Terran Integration Agency, stepped forward. She was in her 40s with a background in diplomacy and anthropology. Her job was to help create frameworks for the new galactic society. We propose the Terran Doctrine, Kira said, distributing data tablets to each representative. A new system of galactic governance based on 3 principles. First, all species are equal regardless of age, size, or military power. Second, expansion through conquest is forbidden. Third, any species found enslaving another will face immediate action from the collective. The Vex representative chimed with confusion. You would give smaller species the same voice as us? That is absurd. They lack experience and wisdom. They lack power, G1 corrected. And you use that against them, no more. In this new council, a species of 10 billion has the same vote as a species of 10 million. Ambassador Changmin Park, Ji-won's brother, stood beside her. He had been chosen to represent civilian perspectives in the negotiations. My sister fights wars. I teach children. And I can tell you that every species has value. Every culture has wisdom. You just never bothered to listen. Over the next weeks, the negotiations continued. Some were productive. Others dissolved into arguments. But slowly a framework emerged. Commander Sorahan revealed that her Ghost Division had been protecting vulnerable species for years. While you were exploiting the weak, she told the Council powers, we were helping them build defenses, teaching them to protect themselves. 23 species now have the ability to resist aggression. Not because we wanted allies, because it was the right thing to do. The smaller species began to speak up. The Queldi representative, speaking publicly for the first time in decades, detailed the exploitation her people had suffered. The Torvin described generations of slavery under the Hive Collective. Others shared similar stories. Historian Somin Jung compiled these testimonies into a comprehensive record. She was young, passionate about preserving truth. This must be remembered, she said. Not to shame anyone, but to ensure it never happens again. The coalition powers initially resisted the Terran Doctrine. They argued it would lead to chaos, that younger species were not ready for equal representation, that humanity was being naive and idealistic. Then General Hana appeared before the assembly. She still wore her combat armor, scorched and dented from the Battle of Earth. You say we are idealistic? Perhaps, but we are also the species that just defeated your combined militaries. We earned the right to idealism through strength. Now you will learn to respect it. The Hive Queen's advisor tried a different approach. What of our worlds? The species you freed on Kelvar Prime? They are destroying our infrastructure. Chaos spreads. Good, Hyun replied flatly. Your infrastructure was built on their suffering. Let it burn. We are helping them build something new, something that belongs to them. Deho Lee presented technical proposals for sharing technology. We will not give you our military advances, he said. But we will share medical technology, agricultural techniques, and sustainable energy systems freely to everyone. Because the galaxy should be lifting each other up, not stepping on each other to climb higher. Dr. Yuna Shin proposed the deactivation of the Quantum Disruption Network, but with a condition. We will shut it down as a gesture of peace, but the satellites remain in place. If anyone attempts conquest or enslavement again, we will reactivate them. Consider them insurance against backsliding. Finally, after 6 weeks of negotiation, an agreement was reached. The old Galactic Council would be dissolved. A new assembly would be created with equal representation for all species. A defense pact would protect smaller civilizations from aggression. Trade would be regulated to prevent exploitation. And humanity would serve as peacekeepers for the first 50 years, ensuring the new system took root. The coalition powers agreed, not because they wanted to, but because they had no choice. Humanity had proven it could enforce its will. Better to accept generous terms than risk another war. On the day the treaty was signed, Ambassador Siak gave a speech that was broadcast across the galaxy. We did not want to fight. We wanted to be part of your civilization, to learn from you, to grow alongside you. You rejected us. You mocked us. And when we defended ourselves, you tried to destroy us. We won that war. But we refuse to become what you are. We choose to build something better. And we invite everyone, including our former enemies, to join us in that building. Pilot Taehyun Ko, attending the ceremony in his dress uniform, whispered to Jun Ho-yoon, "Do you think it will work? Can we really change millennia of galactic culture?" Yunyo shrugged. "We changed Earth from a planet of constant warfare to a unified world. It took time and it was not easy, but we did it. We can do this too." Elder Witness Kareth released his documentary of the Battle of Earth. It became the most watched piece of media in galactic history, but he also included extensive footage of what came after, humans providing medical care to former enemies, helping rebuild damaged worlds, teaching defensive tactics to vulnerable species. The documentary painted a complex picture of humanity, fierce in battle but compassionate in victory. One scene particularly resonated across the galaxy. It showed General Hana sitting with a group of freed Kelvori children, teaching them to read. The warrior who had led the liberation of their world, now helping them build a future. "This is what strength looks like," Karath's narration said. "Not in weapons or ships, but in the choice to use power wisely." Months passed. The new assembly convened for the first time. Representatives from species that had never had a voice now spoke on equal terms with the old powers. There were arguments and disagreements, but also cooperation and hope. Captain Jiwon retired from active military service. She had done her part. Now she wanted to explore, to see the galaxy not as a warrior, but as a diplomat and scientist. Her first journey would be to Vex Space, to help them rebuild their manufacturing capabilities using sustainable methods. Admiral Minho remained as commander of Earth's defense fleet. Someone needed to ensure the peace was kept. But he reduced military spending and redirected resources toward exploration and scientific research. Director Kira's integration agency helped dozens of species navigate the new system. Some adapted quickly, others struggled with the concept of equality. But progress was being made. A young alien approached Ambassador Chang Min after one assembly session. The child was from a species humanity had helped liberate. "Sir," the child asked, "why did the humans help us? What do you want from us?" Chang Min knelt down to the child's level. "We do not want anything from you. We want something for you. The same thing we want for ourselves. The chance to live freely, to grow, to reach your potential. That is all." The child thought about this. "My parent says we should be grateful the humans chose mercy." "Tell your parents something for me," Chang Min replied. "Mercy is not something we chose. It is what we are. We fought because we had to. But we never forgot who we wanted to be." Years later, historian Soman would write the definitive account of this period. She titled it, "The Moment Humanity Revealed Its True Power." The book's final chapter contained a simple truth that resonated across species. The galaxy learned too late what humanity really was. They saw our restraint and called it weakness. They saw our patience and called it fear. They saw our hope and called it naivety. When humanity finally showed its strength, the galaxy expected monsters. Instead, they found something more terrifying. They found beings who could destroy them but chose not to, who could dominate but chose partnership, who could take revenge but chose forgiveness. Humanity's true power was never in its weapons or ships. It was in the iron conviction that even in a dark galaxy there could be light. And sometimes that light needed to fight for the right to shine. On Earth, in a small park in Geneva, a monument was